Hi folks, my next little upgrade for the Civic over the winter is going to be a front strut brace. On the EP3 chassis, these commonly don't do a great deal, or so the experts say. Either way, I've bought this one used, got a very good price, so I thought I would have a go at installing it anyway. Isn't a great deal of weight to it, so there's not going to be any negatives that way. This was originally a Tegiwa front strut brace. You will see it's been modified slightly. There is, along the driver's side in the UK, there's meant to be a wee bracket that comes out for a front engine brace or torque mount, or they go under many names. I have innovative mounts in the car, so I definitely don't need any additional engine mounting support that way. So that's been cut off, and you'll see these brackets here are commonly hollow, where these two legs are just welded straight onto the plate. I filled these all in, so they've all been secured, and you'll see it's also been painted, while the front supports always were black. I've repainted them all satin black, and obviously the front brace is a chrome bare metal style, which obviously is a bit too chintzy for me, so it's all been painted satin black as well and lacquered up, so that finish should last well. The next modification was the hardware. The hardware, for want of a better word, was pretty poor, especially coming with something that's meant to be a chassis brace. So I have high tensile bolts there. Those are 10.9 ones, along with matching nuts and washers there as well. I can give you the specs of those nuts there. I should have them beside me, if you did want to buy your own. These are an M10 bolt, and they're 75mm long, and again they're high tensile, self-coloured, and they're 10.9 grade bolts as well. I'll see if I could put a link onto the video description to make life easy for you. Washer wise, these are these are M16 washers to fit, or M10 I should say, and instead of stainless steel I've went for the stronger plated steel ones, which should match the fasteners to some degree. Obviously they're silver, but they'll be round the back, so you won't see them. So anyway, that's a rough itinerary of all the parts I have here. To install it, it is very straightforward, and you only need some simple tools. For those bolts there that I'd mentioned, that's a 17mm socket. I've got that there in place, and I have a shorter one as well should I need it. You'll need a 17mm spanner to go with, just to hold the nut when you're tightening, and that's a 14mm socket there as well for the 3 bolts that hold your suspension top mounts on as well. So yeah, let's go over to the car and I'll show you what my plan of attack is. This is obviously us over at the engine bay. Just to sort of illustrate again and explain, there's the 3 bolts there for your top suspension mounts there. Those there will come undone, and they're obviously the same at each side. And you'll see with me running the Group M intake, there's only a few strut braces that actually fit on the EP3 properly, so you'll see that's why the brackets come out a bit and then provide the brace across. That could well change in the future, but it's a reasonably well designed one compared to some of them. Well, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, let's get these bolts loosened and removed. I'll set the plates on loosely and see how that goes. Okay, you'll see that's the first plate going on. Hopefully. that's us in business. You see I struggled with it just at that corner. I would suggest you sort of put in that plate there down at an angle, and that has got it on. So I'll loosely thread these on again. I'm just going to loosely knit these up a wee bit. Okay, and they're still relatively loose, so I want a wee bit of movement still in those, so we'll see what that does. Okay, and on to the driver's side here. Got the extension for that. Okay, time to grab this next plate and set it on. Okay, again that one proved to be a bit difficult, the clearance. But you'll see if you dip it down and turn it a bit, it tends to slide on, then you rotate it round that one, and we'll crack on and then start threading these bolts on. Okay, that's roughly the two plates in place now. Time to grab the main bar that goes across there and start setting it in place. Okay, that's it very roughly set in place there. Okay, roughly the holes are lined up here. So time for me to get my nut and washer at the back there, slide the bolt through and hand tighten it. And try not to drop your washer in at the same time. Likewise with the bolt. Or the nut I should say. That's it, loosely hand tight there, and time to do the other side. This is obviously a bit easier because we have a bit more room behind it. That'll pop through a wee bit more whenever I tighten it. So next stage, I'll nip up the plates that bit more, put a wee bit of extra torque onto them, then tighten up these bolts as well. Doing everything in stages just to make sure everything's happy and nothing's stressed or anything that way. I have now nipped up these plates a wee bit more, they're just that wee bit more, that wee bit tighter. So I'll grab the spanner, 17mm spanner, and ratchet and tighten these up a bit more. Okay, 17mm spanner in hand, 17mm ratchet, socket, have a go. make life easier, I'll get a wee shorter socket here. Okay, and final torques for these nuts, just if it's helpful, is 33 foot-pounds. So I will get these nipped up now and make sure they are good and tight. I'll now nip these up and make sure they're torqued up, but that is the rough gist behind putting the strut brace onto an EP3. It does feel good and secure. Obviously it's only my body weight pushing against it, but seems to fit reasonably well. A couple of comments to make: you can still get the oil cap out and take the coil cover off to do your spark plug, so that's not really in the way. I might actually look at shorter bolts for these. This one here is getting quite close to the brake fluid reservoir, so you know, there's still movement, it's not quite touching it, but I might go 1/2 mil shorter there. Also in the fuse box here you can see I couldn't take that fuse box lid off without having to do a bit of messing around with the plates in place, so maybe it will wiggle off, but that really seems to be the only negative that way. I need to get into the fuse box quite often when I'm out in the track to do the ABS fuse, but yeah, all seems to be quite good that way. It's obviously not ideal because I know the experts will say it hasn't been welded onto the strut tower. There is bolts here, so that obviously induces a little flex, but yeah, it seems to be a decent job, and for the price paid for it, it should hopefully do something, but we'll see. But either way, it's installed, didn't cost a lot of money, and no major downside so far. Hopefully somebody found that video of use there. Naturally, any comments or queries, if I can help, feel free to stick them in the comment section below, and obviously feel free to like, share and subscribe as well. It all helps. Cheers folks, bye bye.